Yeah. So guys, look, yesterday was kind of yesterday was kind of a moment where I was pissed up because of Kiko was trying to like fuck with me. Okay. Hey, madam, see my cat. Look like this. Okay, Kiko was trying to like fuck with me. But at this point, I don't know. I decided, okay, no, well, let me stream today. I don't mind streaming in the afternoon because of there's no any particular reasons. But today I'm streaming in the afternoon because I don't see a reason why I should not stream. You know, I feel like I need to stream this afternoon. Okay, I'm coming put it like this, right? Look, the light I bought, guys, the light I bought is really, I'm happy. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really happy for the light I bought because it's focused on my face, focused on me. Okay, so look, I don't want to really talk too much, okay, because this is just around 8 to 9 or after 9, okay, and my day has not really gone, I'm not really going into my day that much, so probably down the line we'll still have one or two things I will do for my day, okay, but regardless, today we're going to talk about something different, okay, about the fact of how to process emotion, okay, because you see yesterday, right, yeah, say hi. Yesterday, right, I had a tons of emotion that was triggering, but I didn't want to react to them. I was just processing my emotions. Okay, why? Because I've learned how to do them. Although I'm still learning how to process my emotions. Okay, and guys, yesterday I collected the girl's number, right? I collected the girl's number, and that girl was very charming, very beautiful. I'm gonna lie. Okay, the girl was like 10. I would say 10 out of 10, but like 8 out of 10. Okay. That was yesterday. Then on Monday, right, I collected another girl's number. Okay, and this one I collected, right, she did something to me, okay, that I didn't really appreciate, and I told her, and all of a sudden she stopped talking with me, stopped chatting with me. Like, I don't give a fuck, okay, because as much as I told you the fact that, okay, I didn't like something and you didn't really appreciate that fact that, okay, I didn't like particular thing, and because of that you started snubbing me, then I put you one side, okay, but I was not really pissed. Nothing really concerned me, okay, okay. But guys, today we're gonna talk about something different, something about how to process and navigate emotions, okay, as a 20, because mostly men, they don't know how to process their emotion most of the times, okay, and today we'll be talking about that, okay, and I guess this is on screen record, because if it's not on screen record, I'll be seriously pissed, because I'm gonna post the video on YouTube as well, okay. Now guys, you see, right, as men, right, we have this tendency of always want to push our emotions, or probably try to like overcome them, okay, which is a normal thing as a man, right. But you see, right, one thing you guys have to understand that our emotions, right, are source of information and motivation, okay, which is a good thing, but it's also an issue. Why is that? Because they're not able to reason, or they're not able to use that reasoning part of our brain, okay. They think more like theory. They don't think this word they don't think in much analytical way, okay. They're more of theoretical base, okay. They're like, okay, boom, they come up with an idea and they just go with it. That's how what our emotions, okay. That's why if you feel a certain way, right, it's not ideal for you to want to repress it, okay. So you have to like acknowledge it, okay, because like I said before, it is a source of information and motivation. So if you feel a certain way, it's sending you signal for something, okay, for why you're feeling something, okay. And that's the reason why we can say that it's not ideal to know our emotions, okay. You used to ask yourself or say, okay, what's this emotion telling me, okay, just like dissect it to its core, okay. And processing it, right, is like it's more of understanding it on a deeper level than talking about it, because everybody talk about emotions. Because if you look at mostly women, okay, that are addicted to things, if you look at the reason why they're addicted, or the reason why they're addicted to that particular thing on a more deeper level, right, it's because they use that particular thing to manage their emotions. Okay, they cannot, not they can talk about their emotions, but they prefer overcoming it, numbing it. Okay, and this is mostly for especially men. Okay, because men are not really for stop. Men are not really used to always coming up and talking about their emotions, most especially them. Okay, so if processing our emotion, right, is not always talking about them, then what is it? Because we have seen that yes, talking about emotions does not help, and we have heard that sometimes most people, right, they usually have this statement of, oh, talking about my emotion does not help, and that's like like a common thing. Okay, because talking about your emotion does not help, except you're telling someone that will give you a solution there and there. Okay, you see, one thing that I know about people that of this world is that they are not able to handle their emotion very well. Like even me, I'm a victim as well. Okay, they're not able to handle their emotion very well. Okay, the only thing that we try to do is we try to get rid of their emotion. And sometimes the reason why we try to like get rid of their emotion is because of the foundation is based on our ego. Okay, we try to get rid of our emotion based off our ego. We are feeling a certain way. Okay, and anytime we feel particular way, right, we want to get rid of it. We don't want to know why we feel that way. Okay, and the reason why I can say that this that's the main thing that we humans are used to is because we don't want to let go of a certain image of ourselves. Okay, because when you are trying to like confront that emotion requires us to tap into a different self where there is no ego, there is no self-image. Okay, that emotion requires us to tap into a deeper level. Okay, because when you are able to tap into your emotion, you are free from all those things that you normally tell yourself. Okay, all this self-image that you normally hold up to yourself. That self-image is just a fucking word, not even a self-image, but because of society based, you just tend to call it self-image. Okay, if what I'm saying, okay, is not right, okay, you think it's not right? Imagine starting a new career. Okay, and all of a sudden you feel fear, which is a normal thing, okay? But instead of processing that fear, you tend to numb it, trying to distract yourself with work and motivational speeches. Okay, now at first you feel that fear, which is a normal thing. But if you are confronted that fear, right, that fear might be telling you different things. Maybe it's telling you that okay, with this career, then maybe you don't know how to like use it to make money, or you're unable to like carry it out for you, like anything at all. It just is telling you a particular information. Okay, and if you don't tend to process it right, you will feel a knot in your chest, like an unfinished project. Okay, so that's the reason why, like, if you feel a certain way, be it fear, be it uncomfortable feeling, and be it comfortable feeling, you have to dissect it to its core. Because if you don't, you will feel something heavy on your chest. Okay, but the one particular thing you have to understand, right? Processing our emotions is different from dwelling in them. Okay, because it's like noticing your discomfort feeling. Okay, noticing where it's coming from. Maybe that discomfort feeling is coming from a lack of skills. Okay, now instead of you to like do something about it, you tend to just give up. Now giving up on that emotions, or mostly giving up on that emotions, is you dwelling on it. Like, oh, I don't know this particular skill, like there's nothing I can do about it, let me just like you just straight away. Okay, but possessing that emotion, right, is seeing it, acknowledging. What is wrong with my tongue? I can't even pronounce single words. Jesus, God, fuck. Okay, so is you acknowledge that emotions. Okay, and see, right, it's one of like the very problem for most humans. Okay, is to try to make their emotion disappear. Okay, some dwell on it, some try to overcome it, some react to it, some try to make it disappear, of which your emotions cannot disappear. They cannot. And one thing you have to understand is that just because you don't feel an emotion, right, does not mean it's not active in you. It's very, very active. but that emotion is just dormant. Okay, so when you feel a certain way, right, be it either feeling numb, but most cases, right, most time we try to like, because when you feel a certain way, right, we tend to want to react to it. We tend to want to feel numb. We tend to want to feel, having this victim mentality. I'm coming with. Okay, we're back. So I had to like check something was making noise in my front of my fucking house. Okay. Now, like I was saying before, right, anytime we feel something right, we tend to feel numb, and sometimes most people even go as far as making themselves feel numb, like feeling this pity party, like trying to like being this victimized mentality. Okay, that's what most people tend like they force themselves to feel numb, just to either like allow themselves to like be soaked up in that emotion, or tend to do things that will make them make that emotion disappear. Okay, and most things, right, that we have learned, okay, that we have been engraved in our brain, right, or our mind, is due to the fact that emotion was part of it. Okay, emotion was part of the activities that we did. Okay, so forgetting that particular activity is very hard because our emotion is dialed down to it. For example, now you had a very negative experience about probably an occasion or an activity, right? Even though you grew old, you will never forget that particular moment. You will never forget. It will be engraved in your brain. Why? Because emotion was attached to it. You felt a certain way. And even down the line, you will tend to feel that emotion in certain areas of your life. Okay, so that's just like some people tend to like numb it. Some people just tend to like be in that emotion. Some people tend to like react to it. Some people tend to like force themselves to be victim of their emotions. Okay, but now imagine that you try to numb their emotion. Okay, one, you will not be able to remember that particular stuff that happened in your life. Okay, and two, you will not be able to even learn how to do it or learn what to do later down the line. Okay, so look, emotions are something that are really part of us, like that they make us human. Okay, and it's because of we have emotions. That's the reason why we are more of humans than animals. Okay, if animals had, I think animals have emotions, but they tend to feel like they have emotions, but not on a higher level of the way humans tend to have our own. Okay, so our emotion is what makes us human. Okay, that way not be an emotion, right? It's not ideal, it's not healthy, because if you do not be emotion, right, it will be very hard for you to stop thinking about it, thinking about that emotions, why that emotion is there. Okay, you won't be able to focus on other things because your mind is on place else. For example, now let me give you an example, right? Imagine you are upset about something or about someone, okay, or you're upset to someone, right? Now, if you're not able to process your anger and ask yourself why you're upset, maybe that person upset you, right? And you didn't react to it, you just tend to just overcome it, just try to like keep malice with that person, right? If you go on trying to do something else, right? Maybe be it what they call it, maybe be it some other activities, right? Your mind will be going back to the reason why, like you start finding, why was I upset at that person? Or why did I feel uncomfortable with that person being around me? You like this have happened to me countless times. I've had moments whereby I'm doing a particular thing, but my mind is on places thinking about one particular action I did or one particular emotion I did. And if I'm not able to process it, I will feel a certain way. Okay, I will feel a certain way. Come on. Okay? I will feel a certain way. Okay? And it's a normal thing. Okay, it's a normal thing. Okay, but just know that if you're not able to process your emotions, doing a particular thing or something else, you won't be able to focus on that thing because your emotions is like it's speaking too loud. Okay, now let me ask you guys, right? How many of you guys, chat, how many of you guys are living your life in avoidance? I don't have to explain it, but like just think what the meaning of living a life of avoidance mean. Like, you know, even that word avoiding, you understand what I'm talking about. So how many of you guys live a life of avoidance? Okay, now you see, right, what I mean by living a life on avoidance is this: you avoid literally everything around your life. You avoid your emotions, sometimes even people, activities, events. So because of the fact that you are living your life in avoidance, that's the reason why most people struggle to get themselves to do particular things. I don't know if you guys have experienced that kind of thing before, and I have did. I've experienced when sometimes I want to do a particular action, but I have to force myself to do that particular thing, even though it's as simple as just going to bed. Okay, and the reason why this struggle is there is because you have created this certain line or boundary. Okay, like you have created a line of, like you have created a line, right? That if anybody pass, or no, not even anybody, like if you yourself pass that line, okay, if you cross that line that you have created for yourself, your emotions are triggered. Okay, and that line is particular. Maybe it's even some stupid ass like, oh God, look, Jesus Christ, look, damn. Some humans, right? Some humans have this unhinged rules of how their life should be, and it pisses me off. Okay, they have me, I'm grown up now, so that means I'll not lick. I'll not lick. What they call it? I'll not lick sweet because I are grown up. Bro, who told you that? Now, the moment they want to lick that sweet now, or do something that they feel like they're not supposed to be doing, not because of it's not right. It is right, but they have tend to create particular think that I'm older now, so I know I'm doing other things. The moment they want to cross that line, their emotions is triggered. So at that point, you tend to crawl back. Okay, and most of these lines that we create for ourselves, okay, I'll call it truth. Okay, I'll call it truth to them because those lines is like a truth to those people, right? But it's just an avoidance mechanism to either accept the particular truth or find out what the truth actually is. Okay, that line that most people create is what they call self-image for themselves, self-idea, self-personality. But that thing is just an avoidance mechanism to avoid pain, to avoid confrontation, to avoid looking stupid. Okay, that's why most people, right? They rely on willpower or try to build habits, which is not the best way. Okay, which is not like it's not the issue. Okay, if you're not able to understand the main underlying tendency to why you behave a certain way, because willpower is an easy feel. Like I said in my other video, willpower is an easy feel.